Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Truth channel. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Chinese police stations in the United States and around the world, actually. So supposedly there was a report that went out. I think it was out of Spain. And this report was in regards to, they call them police stations, but they're sort of not. But anyway, still, it gives the Chinese dangerous powers to operate as such in different countries around the world. So as of right now, there's 50 of these stations in 30 countries throughout the world. There's supposedly one here in the United States and I think two in Canada. Now, I can't speak for Canada and the other countries. I don't know exactly where they might be, but the one that's in the United States is supposedly in New York City, and there are only two locations where they could be, and that's 42nd Street and the West Side Highway, where there's a Chinese like consulate or embassy kind of deal, right across the street from the Intrepid Museum. Then there's another one on 30-something another street on 2nd Avenue. So those are the only two locations where those police stations can be, at least here in New York. Again, everywhere else around the world I cannot speak for. Sorry. Now, here's the problem. I mean, listen, guys, there's a whole slew of problems with any country agency working in another foreign area, if you will. And foreign being the United States, Canada, Spain, Germany, Italy, France. Those are foreign to the Chinese. And there are so many international laws probably being broken with that alone, especially operating such in the United States and Canada. To allow foreign agencies to operate here as police or like police is dangerous. I don't care on what scale it is. Now, the supposed reason for these police stations are that they are looking to convince Chinese nationals to come back home. And then another article said monitor them. So monitoring their behavior so that they can get in trouble back home. I mean, there wasn't any real clarification as to the extent of the Chinese power, which again, guys, is bad. We're watching Chinese buying land near military base. We're watching them buy land throughout the country. Now, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Chinese were buying up land and no one thought anything of it. Well, that's because they did that purposely to buy land in other areas. So when they started buying it close to the military base, no one would have gave it any thought. Well, now we're giving it a lot of thought, being that we're watching this happen, and the Chinese are pulling the bullshit that they're pulling around the world, not just here in the United States. So they are buying land in other countries as well. It's not just here. They're looking for that global dominance as far as land goes. Now, giving them the go-ahead to operate, I'm a little surprised as to why no one is questioning this in the political realm, whether that's Democrats or Republicans. There's always one or two that are like, what the hell is this? This is bullshit. We need to do something about it. But no one's actually questioning anything, or at least I'm not seeing anything in that nature. There could be something being worked behind closed doors. Who knows? But nonetheless, guys, this is giving them dangerous power, because once they get their foothold in whatever country they're in and they start expressing that power and their authorities, even the Chinese nationals, which is bullshit. I don't give a fuck if it's Chinese nationals that they're looking out. They should not be operating as such, and they shouldn't be coercing people to come back home. I think that's bullshit. Now, the most police stations are obviously in Europe. That's London, Amsterdam, Prague, Budapest, Athens, Paris, or rather France, Madrid, and in Germany. Again, guys, allowing this to happen, I don't care what country it is, they shouldn't be allowing this. But nonetheless, this should definitely be a giant no. Now, the police, if you will, police stations, they're not dressed like cops. Though a lot of people would seem to think so, they're not. They're not coming out in their uniforms and interrogating Chinese nationals. It doesn't work that way. They wear plain clothes, sort of operating like their FBI, if you will. Not CIA, because they have their own CIA division, Chinese that is. But they're probably operating more like the FBI. But still, doesn't matter how they operate, on what level they operate, that is bad. Because you're giving them a foothold of some kind of power. Because what's stopping them from then, oh, well, this person was intermingling or talking to our Chinese national, so we feel like we have to interrogate this guy. Or at the very least, I'm talking to Juan, and Juan is like, we're just talking about fucking cheeseburgers and shit. And then they turn around and they watched us talking, didn't say anything to either of us. Then they had the FBI investigate me because they want to know what I said to Wong. And meanwhile, we were talking about fucking cheeseburgers and I don't know, French fries, whatever the fuck conversation is supposed to have with somebody. But with that, guys, again, it's bad. It is bad fucking news, and it needs to be addressed. Now, I'm on the side of if we can identify it and know which one it is, well, maybe we should start hanging out in front and getting stupid with the place. I don't know. But the problem is identifying it. We don't know, right? It could be in New York. It could be a building out of a brown. It could be a building in New York City. Sorry, it could be a brownstone, right? It could be a brownstone for all we know, and it's just we won't. We have been seeing an influx of Chinese here in New York, but you also been seeing an influx of Chinese everywhere around the world. But I noticed it more so here in Harlem. There are a lot of other areas in the New York area where there's been a large influx of Chinese. So that's probably why they have their police force, but that's still not even a good enough reason. You're not to operate as such at any capacity for the Chinese government at all. And they should be putting a stop to it ASAP. Now, the Chinese stated that there are 230,000 nationals living abroad, so right, this around the world, and they're looking to pull them back home or coerce them to come back home, which coercing isn't a word. They're threatening to bring them back home. Threatening, probably also using their family as leverage to come back home, because this is the Chinese government we're talking about. So anyway, with that, guys, meanwhile, we're all watching, right? We're all watching Russia and Ukraine and Putin making his fucking threats of nuclear, tactical nuclear weapons being used, and we're all like, oh my God, it's going to happen. The Chinese are fucking running around playing cops and robbers, right? So again, it's very interesting that we're all being bamboozled into looking in one direction while the Chinese are pulling off this shit in another direction. Now, one article I did read, they said that the nationals they're trying to bring back home are all criminals. Just keep this in mind, guys. The Chinese, they'll label anybody a criminal. So when the article mentioned them being a criminal, I'm like, this bullshit. It's bullshit, because the Chinese will label you a criminal just for throwing garbage on the street, or your social credit scoring system being so low, they can label you a criminal, or at the very least treat you like a criminal. So guys, this is something that we definitely need to stay abreast with and keep our eyes open for any new influx of Chinese residents in the area acting suspicious. When I mean acting suspicious, I'm talking about, like, again, roughing up other Chinese nationals or dragging them into vans and such things like that. We will probably, if we kept our eyes open, we'd probably see something like that. Though I think the Chinese are very good at coercing their nationals or their countrymen to come back home. Now, here is the bigger issue with the police station. I think, and this is my personal opinion, I think it's a Trojan horse. It's a way to get a foothold, like I said earlier, and then expand on that foothold, expand on that power, expand on the amount of police stations they have throughout the United States. Right now they have one. Pretty sure by the end of the year, so it'll be 2 or 3. And then if we keep letting this go unchecked, they're going to have many. And they're going to implement their police force amongst the American people, and we won't know. And they're not going to be Chinese police stations out in the open, guys, if this continues to grow. If this continues to grow, I don't see them having Qinghuang police station. No, I think it'll be more covert, more hidden. We won't notice it until it's too late, kind of deal. I know that there were people and videos of Chinese soldiers training in Canada, so the police station thing is not far off. And being that a lot of media sources are reporting this, I mean, hell, even the New York Post was talking about this, and they try to stay away from shit like that, and they reported it. MSNBC, Fox News, and then of course all the other news agencies out there like Patriot News and shit like that were all, and Business Insider, all reporting the same shit because of that report that came out of Spain. Again, guys, this is something we absolutely need to watch out for, because this could get worse. Like I said, the Trojan horse of letting them come here to look for nationals could turn into something a lot worse. Anyway, guys, with that being said, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.